My mother-in-law, Linda, was the ultimate RV queen. Out of 365 days a year, she spent at least 300 of them road tripping across the country, blowing through money like it grew on trees. I never interfered with her lifestyle. She loved her freedom and frankly I enjoyed the peace. We lived our own lives and that was fine by me. Until the day I tried to withdraw money from the joint savings account David and I had set aside, a $200,000 emergency fund, and the bank teller told me there was less than $10 left. I froze right there at the counter. That account was our safety net, for medical emergencies, job loss, whatever life might throw at us. The teller double-checked the withdrawal records, glanced at me with a touch of sympathy and said, "The entire amount was withdrawn the day after it was deposited. The transaction was made by your husband, David Bennett." It felt like I'd been struck by lightning. I stormed home, shaking with anger, and confronted David. He looked up from the TV, barely blinking. "What the hell's your problem?" he snapped. "My mom spent her life raising me. What's wrong with giving her some money?" Then, as if I were the unreasonable one, he scoffed. "God, Emily, why are you so heartless? She's just enjoying herself a little. Why does that bother you? She's my mother. I'm her only son. Isn't it my job to make sure she lives well?" I stared at him, stunned by the sheer audacity of his righteousness. And then I laughed. A cold, bitter, disbelieving laugh. "It's fine, David," I said, voice flat. "I'm not concerned anymore. After all, you're the one with liver cancer that need money for treatment. Not me." The moment I walked out of the hospital that day, my legs nearly gave out beneath me. Just last week, David and I had gone in for our annual checkups. It was supposed to be routine. But today the doctor had asked to speak with me alone. He set the file down, his face grave. "This is your husband's report," he said. "He's been diagnosed with late-stage liver cancer. If a matching donor is found soon and we can move forward with a transplant, there's still a chance." My mind went completely blank. David was only 45, same age as me. We were still in the prime of our lives. We met through a friend when we were 35. Dated for 3 years before getting married. Everyone said we were a level-headed, mature match, and they weren't wrong. We'd had a stable relationship, barely a serious argument in all these years. I sat in the car afterward, gripping the steering wheel, sobbing until I couldn't breathe. God knows how desperately I didn't want this to be real. How was I supposed to tell him? How could I even begin? Wiping my tears, I made the first rational decision I could think of. Head straight to the bank and unlock our 5-year savings CD. We had put away $200,000. Our emergency cushion meant exactly for something like this. But when the teller pulled up the account, she frowned. "Mrs. Bennett," she said gently, "the current balance is less than $10. I blinked, thinking I'd misheard. "That's not possible. My husband and I opened that account 2 years ago. It was a CD, $200,000. Let me double-check." She nodded and typed rapidly. After a moment, she looked up, visibly uncomfortable. The funds were withdrawn the day after they were deposited. The name on the withdrawal was David Bennett. I staggered back like the ground had suddenly tilted under me. I had suspected something. Deep down I'd always been uneasy. We were the only two who knew that account's credentials. But hearing her say his name out loud, it hit like a slap to the face. That money had taken years of careful saving. Every sacrifice we'd made, every skipped vacation, every coupon, every side job, it was ours. And he'd taken it. All of it. Without saying a word. I stood there in a daze, one thought screaming in my head. What the hell did he spend it on? I was still in a daze when I got home. I had left that morning intending to withdraw the $200,000 we'd set aside. Instead, I came back with an empty account and a spinning head. I nearly missed 2 exits on the freeway. I called in sick from work and sat on the edge of the bed for what felt like hours, my mind tangled in 1,000 directions. Then I heard the front door open. David's voice followed. "Mom, take a seat and catch your breath. California's heat is brutal this time of year. You really shouldn't be out driving so much. Why don't you stay here for a couple of months until it cools down?" My hand froze on the doorknob. I stopped short, standing silently behind the bedroom door. Linda was back. She put on that fake sweet tone I'd come to recognize. "Oh, I'd love to stay and spend more time with you, but Emily runs a tight ship. Without her blessing, I wouldn't dare settle in." David let out a chuckle. "Don't worry about her, Mom. This is my house. If she has a problem with you staying here, I'll make sure she remembers who runs this place. I've got plenty of ways to keep her mouth shut. My fingers clenched around the doorknob, knuckles turning white. This was my husband, the man I'd believed respected me. Behind my back he sounded like he owned me. Linda sounded delighted, her voice light and smug. You're absolutely right. Women need to be kept in line. Just look at your uncle's wives, he handled each one and now they're all sweet as lambs. None of them dares talk back once their husbands lay down the law. I leaned against the wall, my breath coming shallow. In that moment the mask over my marriage cracked wide open. There they were, an aging actress playing innocent and a son who equated control with love, conspiring confidently about how to manage me like I was a piece of furniture. And I didn't walk out. I wanted to know just how deep the rot went. Then Linda got to the real reason she was there. David, I actually came back to talk to you about something, she said sweetly, her tone suddenly syrupy. I'm getting older. These long drives are killing my back and half the time I have nowhere decent to rest. Hotels are expensive and the beds are terrible. If I had a better RV, a luxury one, I could keep traveling without the hassle. David hesitated. Even if you got one, Mom, could you really drive it everywhere yourself? That's a lot to handle. Not to mention dangerous. Oh, I've got that figured out, she said with a grin. One of my friends used to drive for UPS, 20 years behind the wheel. He'd be happy to drive us. We're putting together a little convoy going up and down the West Coast. Everyone else will cover gas and lodging. I just need to bring the RV. David stayed quiet. She pressed on. My friend knows someone who can get a top-of-the-line coach. Normally goes for $800,000, but we could snag it for just under $500,000. You'd only need to float me $300,000 to start. I'll take care of the rest with a loan. I stood at the door, face completely blank. She'd already burned through the $200,000 that belonged to both of us. Now she wanted another $300,000. Like it was nothing. And all I could think was how badly I wanted to swing that door open and scream. Do you two think I'm dead? The living room fell silent. I stood behind the bedroom door, smirking coldly to myself. Maybe David had finally snapped out of it. Maybe the moment she asked for $300,000 some part of his brain woke up. But then I heard it, Linda's voice trembling with a practiced sob. Oh, I see how it is. You got married and just decided you don't have a mother anymore? Your father died young, David. I raised you all by myself. I never remarried, because I didn't want anyone making your life harder. Do you remember when you got sick as a kid? I stayed up for nights scared to death. And now, you can't even help your own mother get a place to sleep on the road. David had always fallen for this act. The tears, the guilt trips, he was helpless against them. Okay, don't cry, Mom, he said quickly. You know I've never forgotten everything you did for me. But I've already given you $200,000 over the last few years. How is that all gone? I'm not kidding, I really don't have any more to give. My whole body went still. $200,000? That was our money. Our savings. The emergency fund we'd both agreed to build. For layoffs, for illness, for life's unpredictability. And he'd handed it all to her? Behind my back. I didn't even have time to fully register the betrayal before Linda poured more gasoline on the fire. You still have this house, don't you? Sell it and there's your money. That was it. I exploded. I flung the bedroom door open and stormed into the living room. The color drained from their faces like they'd been doused with ice water. David's mouth was open mid-word, the okay, hanging in his throat. I stared him down, my voice like a knife. Didn't you tell me your mom was paying for all her travel with her retirement money? He turned red, then pale, scrambling for something to say. What the hell is wrong with you? You were eavesdropping. I laughed, sharp, joyless. She walks in the door and I don't even know she's back. You two are out here scheming how to spend my money on her next joyride, and now I'm the one out of line. He opened his mouth but nothing came out. Kept going. Tell me, David. Who paid for all those trips these past few years? That $200,000, did you pull it out of our account? Without telling me. His expression shifted. He tried to soften his voice, took a step toward me, reaching out like he could calm me down. Emily, listen. My mom's been through a lot. She's had a hard life and she never got to enjoy herself. If we don't help her now, then who will? I shoved his hand away, my voice shaking. She wants to enjoy her life? Fine. But don't forget, that money was ours. We saved it together. That was for emergencies. For us. For whatever might happen. Job loss, accidents, medical bills. You gave it all away. What about us, David? Did you ever stop to think about that? He suddenly looked annoyed, like I was the problem. You always have to turn everything into a crisis. So what? Some money got spent. Big deal. People get sick, they deal with it. You act like every sniffle needs 100 grand. Sometimes there's no cure. People die. That's life. Why are you so dramatic? That's when I went cold. Completely, irreversibly cold. When we got married, Linda didn't pay a dime toward the wedding. Not 1 cent. David and I covered everything. And the moment the reception was over, she took the gift money from friends and family, smiled sweetly, and said she was going to finally fulfill her lifelong dream. That was the beginning of her golden retirement tour. She never showed up to help us when things got tight. Never offered support when we were struggling to make ends meet. Hell, she even made it clear, don't expect me to help if you two have kids. I respected that. I adjusted. I did it all myself. But now, suddenly, she's the selfless one? The victim? And I'm the cold-hearted woman refusing to support her more? I stayed quiet, jaw clenched. And then Linda launched into full-blown martyr mode. Stop fighting, she sniffled. This is all my fault. I should have died already. Then I wouldn't be a burden to either of you. I'll call my friends and tell them I'm not going. I'll get a job, cleaning houses, washing dishes, picking up cans on the street. I'll pay you back. I shouldn't even be alive. I'd had enough. Every nerve in me snapped. Then call them. Right now. Don't just sit here whining about it. I have never met a mother as selfish as you. You live for yourself and you leech off your kid to do it. You want to feel guilty? Then cancel your plans. Get a job. Pay us back. But don't you dare play dead in my living room like it's some kind of performance art. Linda froze. Still clutching her phone like a prop in a bad play, she stood rooted to the spot, completely thrown off by my words. Call them. Right now. That one sentence pinned her to the floor like a nail through her shoe. Her performance had no place to go. Then out of nowhere she clawed at her hair and collapsed onto the couch in dramatic hysterics. Fine. Let me just die then. Nobody wants me around anyway. My daughter-in-law hates me and even my own son can't protect me. What's the point of living? I didn't blink. The couch is soft, Linda, I said coolly. You're not gonna kill yourself on a pillow. The next second David stormed in. His face twisted with rage. He grabbed the back of my hair and yanked hard, slamming me sideways and landing a slap so hard my left cheek exploded in pain. Apologize to my mother, he shouted. She only comes here a few times a year and this is how you treat her? I pressed a hand to my burning face, stunned. But I held back the tears and hit back. Yeah, she occasionally visits, because the rest of the time she's off blowing our savings on her little joyrides. David's voice climbed another octave. And what do you contribute, huh? Your salary next to mine? This house, those savings, that's mostly my money. I'll spend it however I damn well please. There was. The mask completely off. This wasn't the man I'd loved for 7 years. This was a controlling, violent, self-righteous narcissist. I stood tall. My voice was ice. We're getting a divorce. He stared at me like I'd just declared the end of the world. Over this? You're being dramatic, Emily. My mother scrimped and sacrificed her whole life, and now she wants a damn RV that makes her the villain? She's not a maid. She deserves to enjoy her life. And you, what kind of cold-hearted monster leaves her over a few bucks? Linda jumped back in, switching masks yet again. No, don't divorce over me. If Emily needs me to apologize, I will. I'll endure anything. Just don't split up. Her words were gasoline. David slammed the table. Fine. Divorce. Who the hell cares? I didn't respond. I turned around, walked into the bedroom and locked the door behind me. From outside I could still hear them. She's being ridiculous, Linda whined. You need to be more patient with her. David scoffed. Patient? She's trying to run this house like she owns it. You were right, Mom. Women like her need to be handled. Did you see her after that slap? Instantly quiet. She's just been brainwashed by all that feminist garbage. Thinks she's got rights now. I sat on the edge of the bed, breathing slowly. Not because I was scared, but because I knew one thing with absolute clarity. Walking out there and getting hit again would be stupid. Calling the police was the smart move. Domestic violence doesn't happen just once. It either hasn't started yet or it already has. I picked up my phone and dialed 911. When the officers knocked on the door, both of their faces went pale. David's voice cracked as he opened it. Is something wrong? I stepped out, pointed to him and spoke clearly. Officer, he hit me. I'm the one who called. David's face changed instantly. He tried to speak. You're insane. You called the cops. The officer cut him off with a stern look. Sir, drop your hand. Step back. Two other officers approached and restrained him. Linda, of course, started weeping, clinging to one of the female officers. Please, officer, it's all a misunderstanding. Married couples fight. That's just how it goes. Back in our day. The officer raised an eyebrow, voice firm and sharp. Ma'am, I don't know what your day was, but in the United States today, domestic violence is a crime. You hit someone, you answer to the law. At the station, David was still clueless. You guys can't be serious. So what if I hit her once? We're married. It happens. She deserved it. She disrespected my mother. What was I supposed to do? Let it slide. The officer turned to me. Would you like to press charges, ma'am? We can also issue a protective order right now. I didn't hesitate. Yes. I want to press charges. I'm not forgiving him. David's confidence cracked. Come on, you can't just arrest me like this. Don't we get to talk it out first? Then his voice changed, colder, darker. Emily, you really want to take it this far? You get me fired. You think your life's gonna be any better? I met his glare with a calm smile. You're a government employee. Once this goes on record, you're finished. But whether you lose your job or not has nothing to do with me. I'm financially independent. Linda suddenly stepped in, voice trembling. Emily, please. If you want an apology, I'll apologize. I'll get on my knees if that's what it takes. Just don't ruin my son's life. That was when I saw her for who she truly was. I gave a short, humorless laugh. What exactly have you been doing these last few years, Linda? Traveling? More like perfecting your acting. Her lips twitched. I was traveling. What else would I be doing? I raised an eyebrow. Then prove it. Get on your knees, say you're sorry, and wire me $100,000. Do that and I'll sign the settlement. She bit her lip and started crying again. Pathetic. David growled. What the hell do you want from us? I replied slowly, clearly. You want me to sign off? Fine. You apologize. Out loud. In front of the officers. Then you write a full apology letter by hand. Big letters. Real words. Read it to me when you're done. His face turned an ugly shade of gray. For a man like him, this was worse than being stripped naked in public. But he did it. Because he was scared of losing his job, of public shame. He bowed to me, a stiff 90-degree bow, and forced out, I'm sorry. Then, under police supervision, he wrote 2 full pages of apology. I also filed for a formal restraining order. The officers processed the paperwork on the spot. When we walked out of the precinct together, no one said a word. David didn't look at me, but his eyes burned holes in the back of my head. At the front doors, he hissed under his breath, voice like venom. You're gonna regret this, Emily. I didn't even turn around. I opened my phone, pulled up my lawyer's contact, and by nightfall my divorce papers were already in the works. The night I left the precinct, I didn't pack much, just one suitcase. I went straight to my parents' house. I had already made up my mind. There was nothing left in David worth holding on to. That house. I'd never set foot in it again. When my mom saw the mark on my face, her eyes filled with tears. She reached out, her hand trembling as it touched my cheek. Oh my God, Emily. He really hit you. My dad's face turned red with rage. He slammed his fist into the kitchen doorframe. That bastard. Acts all polished in public, but behind closed doors he lays hands on my daughter? He should have been cursed years ago. I gave them a faint smile, patted both their shoulders. Don't waste your breath. That scumbag won't have much time left to enjoy anything. They froze, confused. I told them plainly that David had liver cancer. That same night, I scheduled an appointment with a family attorney and sent David a cold, concise email informing him that the divorce process had been officially initiated. His response came almost immediately. And it was repulsive. You really think any man wants a woman your age? You're lucky I even stayed this long. My mom already lined up someone new for me. She's younger, hotter. One of her RV group friends' daughters. Not like you, always screaming about something. I didn't even bother replying. You're dying and you're still trying to win some pathetic game of who's more desirable? A few days later we met at the county family mediation center. David showed up wearing that same smug, greasy grin I'd once found charming. Linda was at his side, cool and collected as if they had the whole thing in the bag. My parents flanked me like a pair of bodyguards. Their expressions were colder than mine. The negotiation started out smoothly, until we hit the topic of property division. The house had been purchased jointly, so by default, it should have been split 50-50. But when the mediator mentioned financial records, I slapped a folder down on the table. These are transaction logs from the past 3 years, I said. David withdrew nearly $200,000 from our joint account without my consent. Every cent went to Linda Bennett for her personal vacations and spending. David scoffed. Oh, come on. Don't make it sound criminal. She's old, I gave her money like any good son would. Ever heard of supporting your parents? My dad exploded. Support? That's what you call draining your household savings and leaving your wife with nothing? You think any judge is gonna see that as filial piety? My mom, calm and cutting, pulled out the domestic violence restraining order and laid it flat on the table. This is a formal notice from the police department. If you refuse a fair settlement, we're more than ready to go public with the abuse charges. You want to keep your job, think carefully. I turned and glanced at Linda. She finally dropped the act and muttered, David, maybe just sell the house. It's not worth risking your job. David clenched his jaw so hard I thought his teeth might crack, but in the end he caved. We reached an agreement. The $950,000 house would be signed over to me. There was still a $200,000 mortgage, but I agreed to pay an extra $50,000 upfront to even it out. That should have been the end of it. But as we walked out of the mediation office, David turned to me with a strange glint in his eye. You went to the hospital the other day, didn't you? I paused. Yeah. So. My mom had an appointment at her clinic. She saw you coming out of the oncology department. Linda chuckled like she just solved a puzzle. I knew something was off, your skin looked awful. Good thing you're divorcing her, honey. She would have dragged you right down with her. David nodded along. Don't call me cold, Emily. But when the ship's going down you jump. I'm not gonna bankrupt myself over you. Don't call. Don't ask. I stared at them both then smiled. You're right. Maybe I should cancel the divorce filing, huh? David's face changed instantly. What are you talking about? You're evil, he hissed. You're seriously going to trap me just because you're dying? Linda jumped in like her feet were on fire. Come on, David. Walk away. She'll just infect you with God knows what. They scurried off like rats. My dad watched them go, chuckling under his breath. Does he really think you're the one running out of time? Truth was, I had gone to the hospital that week. The doctor told me David's liver match had finally come through. But there was a 7-year-old girl, critically ill, being evaluated for urgent transplant priority. I'd been torn. I didn't know what to do. But just now, watching the two of them, so smug, so inhuman, my mind cleared. I pulled out my phone and sent the doctor a message. I withdraw my priority status. Please proceed with the child's transplant. As for David, let him wait. Let him rot. However long he's got left. Every few days, David would eagerly drag me to the county office, rushing the paperwork for the house transfer. He wore the kind of smug, boyish grin that made you want to slap it off his face. My mom's taking me on a month-long road trip, he announced like a teenager on spring break. Marge and her daughter are joining us. Mom says it's the perfect chance for me and the girl to build a connection. I smiled and nodded. Go for it. Have fun. It might be the last time you get to travel so freely. His expression turned sour in an instant. He sulked through the entire appointment with a face like spoiled milk. Outside the deed office, he stopped short, turned toward me with an ugly squint in his eyes and growled. You're in a hurry to get divorced, because you've already got someone else, haven't you? My mom was right. Women like you aren't worth trusting. I gave him a cold smile. Sorry to disappoint you, David. But I'm not as filthy as your imagination. He sneered, teeth clenched. Keep talking tough. Let's see how long you've got left to enjoy it. The next month I lived in peace. The moment the house was in my name, I put it up for sale, listed at a cool $1 million. Meanwhile, David went full vacation mode. He took 2.5 weeks off work and spammed Instagram with pictures. Beaches, campgrounds, rooftop bars. Hugging and kissing his new girlfriend like he was in a music video. The ink on our divorce wasn't even dry, and he'd already launched into his next chapter. Linda even messaged me directly, bragging that her son had co-signed a loan so she could finally buy her brand new RV. They were all set to tour the country. I replied simply, "Drive safe." But I couldn't help noticing, David was starting to look off. His complexion was turning dull, jaundiced. His energy seemed zapped in every photo. Not surprising at all. The man had no idea he was sick. Without me there to monitor his diet, his rest, his vices, he'd gone back to late nights, heavy drinking, greasy food, chain smoking. The illness was finally catching up. When the day came for us to collect our final divorce decree, I brought an envelope with me. Linda showed up too, shooting daggers at me the entire time, like I'd single-handedly ruined their family legacy. After signing the last of the paperwork, I calmly handed the envelope to her. "This is last month's medical report," I said. "You're his mother. I figure you deserve to know." David snorted. "Still pretending to care? It's too late for that. Even if you got down on your knees right now, I wouldn't look at you again." I nodded. "Perfect." Then I turned to Linda, voice even and measured. "Let me know when the funeral is. I'll make a $200 donation." Her face twisted with fury. "What the hell are you talking about? I'm 66. I just had a full body checkup last week. The doctor said I'm in perfect health." With that, she tore the medical report to shreds right in front of me, then stomped on the pieces for good measure. I raised my eyebrows and spread my hands. "You misunderstood. I wasn't talking about you. I meant your precious son." David's face drained of color. He dropped to his knees and scrambled to collect the scraps. "You're insane," Linda shrieked. "She's making it up. Don't listen to this crazy woman." David barked at her. "Shut up. Why the hell did you rip it up? Put it back together, now." Linda gasped, stunned. "You yelled at me?" Her eyes bulged with disbelief. But David didn't flinch. "Stop the damn waterworks already. You're not a kid. You're exhausting." That was when I started laughing. He'd always known what a manipulative performer she was. He just didn't care until it cost him something. And now, with his back to the wall, he turned on her faster than he ever turned on me. Linda, who'd been so smug shredding the report, was now on the floor struggling to tape it back together, while David hovered over her, barking orders like a drill sergeant. The more she slowed down, the nastier he got. Watching them tear into each other was almost therapeutic. Not sure if it was stress or his body finally collapsing, but as David hunched over the shredded medical report, he suddenly clutched his stomach and crumpled to the ground, face ashen. I didn't stick around to find out. I slipped out quietly while chaos erupted behind me. From a distance, I could still hear Linda's shrieking echoing through the building. "David! Oh God, David, don't scare Mama like this. Someone call an ambulance. Bye baby, you can't leave me, not now. Who's gonna take care of me when I'm old?" Me. I went home and treated myself to 2 heaping bowls of beef stew, with a generous side of creamy mashed potatoes. I was halfway through my meal when the doorbell rang. My dad answered it, and immediately his face darkened. "Get out. What the hell are you doing here?" I stood and walked over, only to find David and Linda standing on our porch with gift bags in their hands and fake smiles plastered across their faces. My dad moved to slam the door, but Linda shoved her way inside and David followed like a shadow. My mom rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. "What kind of soap opera is this?" David dropped to his knees in front of me like we were on some tacky reality show. "Emily, please, take me back. Let's start over." Linda chimed in, launching into her greatest hits collection of faux humility. "In-laws, my son was a total idiot and it's my fault for not raising him right. But couples fight, don't they? It's normal. He's really sorry this time. Can't you give him another chance?" But we weren't buying it. My dad scoffed. "That's your idea of parenting? Your son beats his wife, cheats her out of money, treats her like trash, and all you did was defend him. You want forgiveness? Show some damn sincerity." David saw an opening. He turned to Linda and shouted, "Come on, Mom. Hit me. Do whatever you want. Just help me make things right with Emily. Linda shut her eyes dramatically like she was summoning divine strength and, smack, she slapped David across the face. Then wham, she hit the other side for good measure. You're supposed to cherish your wife, not hurt her, she shouted. You think this is how a man behaves? Say you're sorry, now. David held his burning cheeks, tears almost forming, and managed a pitiful grin. I'm sorry. I really am. Emily, you've always been the center of my world. I was stupid, I didn't see it until I lost you. Please, I've changed. I let out a cold laugh. No, you didn't realize anything because you lost me. You panicked because the girlfriend your mother picked bailed on you, and now you need someone to wipe your mouth and pay your medical bills. You're not looking for a partner, you're desperate for a free caretaker. His face twitched with rage, but he swallowed it, replacing it with the same pleading expression. Emily, please. Think about all the good years we had. Remember that winter you were overwhelmed and I drove you around at midnight just to calm you down? I listened to you talk for hours. I'm not perfect, but can't you give me one more chance? I tilted my head, watching him with a look sharp enough to cut steel. He really did take after his mother. Oscar-worthy performance. To be fair, if he'd been a total monster from the start, I never would have married him. But once we tied the knot, he changed. Whenever Linda was around, he turned into a spineless puppet, always siding with her, blaming me for everything. Then when she left, he'd come crawling back, full of apologies. I used to let it slide. Told myself she didn't visit often, we didn't live together, it wasn't worth the fight. But every time I gave an inch, they took a mile. No. He wasn't here to make things right, he was just too sick, too abandoned, and too broke to find another sucker. If the roles were reversed and I were the one dying, he wouldn't even visit the hospital. Hell, he'd probably tell me it was karma. I smiled sweetly. You're right, David. Everyone makes mistakes. Let me think about it overnight. I'll give you my answer tomorrow. His eyes lit up like he'd won the lottery. Linda stepped in, smiling with all 66 of her crow's feet. Oh, Emily, sweetheart, don't take it so hard. My son's just not the best with emotions. He hit you that time because he loves you. You know what they say, if he's yelling, it's because he cares. I nearly choked on a laugh. Hitting means love? Really? So I raised my hand and slapped David hard across the face. The color drained from his cheeks. He looked stunned. I smiled coyly. Oh, come on. Isn't that what you said? Hitting is love, right? He clenched his jaw, forcing a smile, and even turned his other cheek. Of course. I don't mind. The desperation on his face was almost sad. Almost. They left soon after, faces still smiling but cracking around the edges. The moment they were out the door, my mom rushed over. Emily, tell me you're not actually thinking about going back to that human trash heap. My dad crossed his arms like a retired general. There's nothing to consider. We won't let you walk into that fire again. I smiled. Relax. I was lying to them. David's sick. And violent. If I'd told him off right then, he might have snapped. Better to play along, get him out the door, and disappear. I picked up my phone and opened my travel app. Tomorrow morning we're flying out for vacation. He can rot trying to find me. The next morning we flew straight to Florida, just the three of us. We checked into a cozy beachfront rental on Tampa Bay, all white curtains and the soft hush of waves through open windows. I had barely sunk into the plush mattress of our ocean view room when my phone began to explode. David calling like his life depended on it. Emily, I'm here to pick you up, we're going to the courthouse. Where the hell is everyone? His voice was tight with panic. I replied lazily, oh, I'm on vacation with my parents. Thought it was time they saw the ocean. There was a long, stunned silence on the other end. You're on vacation? Right now? You know I have cancer. I put on my best wide-eyed innocence. My parents worked their whole lives and never took a proper trip. They wanted to see the beach and eat some lobster. I'm just being a good daughter. You always said people should enjoy life when they're older, didn't you? I'm just honoring your life philosophy. He choked on his words. And besides, I added smoothly, you're not dead yet, are you? You expect me to come home and spend my days wiping your sweat and bringing you meds? His tone sharpened. Emily, I'm starting chemo. I need someone. I can't do this alone. I shrugged, watching the gulls swoop across the sky. Have your mom help. Isn't she always saying how she raised you by hand, diaper to diploma? Sounds like she's got the credentials. Suddenly, the voice on the line changed. Linda had grabbed the phone. Emily, honey, please. Just lend us a little money. You were married for years. Are you really going to let David die because we can't afford treatment? There was finally the truth. Oh, I said, feigning surprise. Money is the issue? That's odd. I could have sworn David just co-signed a loan to buy you that shiny new RV. He even posted it on Facebook. Can't you just sell it? Should cover a few rounds of chemo. And now, if you'll excuse me, we have a seafood feast waiting. Bye now. I didn't wait for a reply. For the next 2 weeks, I lived like a woman reborn. We soaked in hot springs, wandered farmers' markets, even spotted wild manatees along the coast. Then we hopped a flight to Montana, Yellowstone Glacier National Park, you name it. Another 2 weeks. No calls. No apologies. David and Linda kept trying though. Some days they begged for cash. Some days they begged me to come say goodbye. I didn't answer a single call. Until the day Linda finally texted. David's condition has worsened. Chemo failed. He's officially in late stage. That was the message I'd been waiting for. I sent my parents home with the luggage. Then I went straight to the hospital. Not to care for him. I just couldn't wait to see the final act of this pathetic little soap opera. Right place, perfect timing. When I arrived at the hospital, I walked straight into the middle of a screaming match between David and Linda. It had been barely a month, but David looked like he'd aged a decade. His body was skeletal, cheeks sunken, skin sallow with a yellowish tinge. What did you just say? He roared, eyes bulging. You want me to give up treatment? Linda, completely unbothered, replied in that syrupy soft tone of hers. Sweetheart, they still haven't found a match for you. Forcing yourself to go through more of this. It's just prolonging things. Wouldn't it be better to spend your last days seeing the world, enjoying what you love instead of being hooked up to machines? David nearly exploded. You're telling me to go die. I gave you all my savings so you could gallivant across the country in that damn RV, and now I'm sick, you're done? Linda frowned like she was the one being wronged. I've been here for 30 days, sleeping on couches, eating gas station sandwiches. I'm not a young woman anymore. I'm exhausted. We should try natural healing. Herbal teas. Something gentler on the body. David's voice cracked from rage. Are you even my mother? I divorced my wife for you, and now I'm rotting in a hospital bed while you feed me celery juice and ghost me at dinner time. His voice was thin, weak. I could tell it wasn't just anger, it was malnourishment. No one had been feeding him properly. Linda didn't back down. Don't dump this on me. You're the one who slapped Emily and threw her out. That wasn't my decision. David yelled louder. You pushed me to it. You always pit me against her. You and Emily are just the same, leeches. Blood-sucking leeches who live off me. You ungrateful brat. Linda shrieked, her face flushed red. You've drained every penny and now you want more? Well, guess what? I don't have it. I can't afford to care anymore. Right there in the hallway of the oncology ward, mother and son tore each other apart. Nurses walked by without making eye contact. Other patients tried not to stare. The facade was gone. The same two people who once tag-teamed to throw me out like garbage were now unraveling in public, clawing at each other with bare hands and no shame. I figured it was time to make my entrance. I stepped in slowly, holding a small paper bag of rotting apples. Well, I said, looking around innocently, still no match from the transplant registry? Then I turned to Linda with a smile that could slice through steel. Linda, have you been tested? You and David are blood relatives. You're a top match candidate, aren't you? Her face went stiff. She stammered. I'm too old. My liver wouldn't be viable. I raised an eyebrow. But didn't you say just last month that your health was excellent? Full body checkup, clean bill, remember? You even bragged about being perfectly eligible to donate. David sat up like someone had jump-started his soul. Mom, if you can save me, you have to try. Please. We still have time if you go now. Linda's color drained. No, I can't. Donating a liver would ruin my health. You can't ask me to risk my life like that. What happens to me if you die? What about my retirement? My money? I shrugged. Easy fix. Sell the house. Sell the RV. Liquidate some assets. You always said memories matter more than material things. Linda started trembling. I'm not listening to this. I'm leaving. He's your husband. You take care of him. But David had snapped. He lunged from the bed, skeletal and frantic, grabbing a handful of her hair. You're not going anywhere. If you're not going to save me, then pay me back. I gave you everything, I want it all back. Linda shrieked. The money's gone. I already spent it. He slapped her. Then again. And again. All your fault. You did this. You selfish witch, did you think you could just travel forever? Linda collapsed to her knees, sobbing and shielding herself. I took one last look at the two of them. This final ugly scene in the twisted play they wrote together. Then I quietly backed out of the room, closed the door behind me, and walked into the soft light of the corridor. And this time I didn't look back. There was still one more thing David didn't know. But he'd find out soon enough. For years, Linda hadn't been traveling the world, like she told everyone. No. She'd been in love, or at least playing house with a man she paid to stay. Turns out she'd been supporting a retired bartender and his 20-something son for years. Rent, groceries, doctor bills, all of it. I didn't find out right away. It started with a hunch. Back when I was divorcing David, I made a casual remark in front of Linda. It's strange, all those years you said you were traveling, but I looked around. There's no record of you being anywhere. For a split second she froze. Her face changed. That was all I needed. I told my parents. My dad didn't even wait for me to finish. He slapped the table and said, "Let me handle it." He looked like a retired detective activating his final mission. And somehow he actually pulled it off. What he found was disgusting. David's money, every last cent he'd peeled away from our joint account, hadn't gone toward any soul-searching RV trips. It had gone to Linda's kept man. And his son. They lived off her like parasites, propped up by David's so-called filial piety. I should have felt bad for David. But honestly I couldn't even laugh. It was too bleak for comedy. So I'd planned to tell him. Not out of sympathy but strategy. I was going to wait for that perfect moment, when his body was weakest, his hope flickering out, and then hand him the truth. But life beat me to it. One day I got a call from an unknown number. The voice was trembling on the line. Are you Mrs. Bennett? We need someone to identify a body. It took a full minute for me to understand. David was dead. Here's what happened. That night at the hospital after he slapped Linda, security and doctors rushed in. Linda slipped away in the chaos. David was discharged, he couldn't pay the bills. But he wasn't done. Still obsessed with the idea of her liver saving his life, he laid a trap. He called her, lied to her, begged her to come see him. When she showed up, he followed her. Waited. Later that night, at a gas station off the freeway in a dim back alley, he ambushed her. Screaming, sobbing, accusing. You owe me. You have to save me. He pinned her to the ground, pulled out the folding knife he'd kept in his bag and stabbed her. Not once. 3-4 times. In his sick mind, if he could injure her enough, maybe the hospital would step in. Maybe there'd be a way to harvest what he wanted. But fate had a different ending. The bartender's son had come to pick up his dad and saw the attack. He rushed in, tackled David, and the two of them fought viciously. It ended with the young man straddling David, punching him over and over, until his hands were covered in blood and David stopped moving. Linda survived. Barely. She lives now with a colostomy bag and permanent internal damage. Her boyfriend and his son? Both in prison, charged with involuntary manslaughter and aggravated assault. You'd think all this would break her. Make her reflect. But the first thing she did when she regained consciousness? Cry. Wailing. Not for David. But for that man. Poor Eddie. My boyfriend was such a good man. He wouldn't be in jail if it weren't for you. You were gonna die anyway. Why'd you have to ruin everyone else's life too? I stood outside her hospital room listening. And I laughed. Because this was Linda. The same woman who never gave anyone mercy. Who cried for a man she bought, while her own son rotted alone. Selfish. Through and through. He lost everything. And still couldn't figure out how or why. As for me, I walked down that hallway into a breeze of silence. And I didn't look back. No one could pull me back in now. Not ever again.